One-foot-flipper.
Hi, Paige here, the 1 Foot Flipper. I'm doing this video because people keep requesting this. This video is 100% about shipping cards on eBay with standard envelope. If that's not what you're looking for, just move along to my other videos. You can hit like, subscribe on your way out, but just move along to the other videos. This is just for people who want to see how I ship cards, because a lot of people are doing it wrong or they're spending too much money on it. The first thing is, you do not want to use those paperboard mailers that eBay is telling you or suggesting that you use. Those things are going to get returned to your house. They're going to show up postage due, or you're going to have endless problems with them. They're too stiff. They stand out to the people at the post office. They don't like them. And part of standard envelope is that you definitely don't want your envelopes to stand out to the post office, because too many people at the post office will make up their own rules and standards about things instead of following the real ones, specifically because, and some of the standards can be a little bit vague. Second thing is that you don't want to use top loaders under most circumstances. I only use top loaders on people who try to tell me how to ship the card, and then I'll block them after that, because I tested this extensively when I first really got on board selling cards, shipping half my orders in top loaders and half the way that I do it now, and I had about a 1.5% exception rate with top loaders. Exception means disappears, shows up postage due, gets returned to my house. While my exception rate without top loaders was more like 1 in 500 cards. So it's a huge difference. Now, none of my top loader orders ever got damaged. But last year, if I had used top loaders for all my orders, I would have spent $1,800 on top loaders. And I had $25 in damage claims last year. And the eBay insurance paid out on every single one of those claims. So that would have that's a cheap used car just lit on fire because to use top loaders. It's not worth it. Now let's look at what we do want to use for equipment here and supplies. First off, I use a zebra printer. I know you hear Rollo in the community all the time. There's two reasons for that. One is that Rollo's paying a lot of people to put their name out there. And number two is the Rollo printers, they're fine for lower volume people. But if you're selling cards, you're probably going to be much higher volume. These zebra printers are what you see when you go into UPS. That's what you see on the counter there, because it can print labels all day long, every day, for years. That Rollo printer can't do that. You can just buy a used one, and it'll print labels all day long for years, and not really give you any sort of problems or issues. At the store I used to work at, we had a bunch of them, and I remember when we needed one, we'd buy a used one on eBay. They're about $100 used. And I remember we bought a new used one, and put it on our main shipping desk. And the entire time I was there, that thing printed off hundreds of labels every day for the multiple years that I worked there. And the same one's probably still on that desk right now. Rollo would have fallen apart in that time. All right, next supply we're going to need is, you're going to want a stack of junk cards. Sports cards are my first choice for junk cards. These cards are going to be your main protection for your items. I choose sports cards first just because sports cards usually have square corners, while gaming cards usually have round corners. So those square corners will help protect every style of card, while gaming cards cannot protect sports cards. You want normal envelopes. I usually get them at Dollar Tree, or when Costco has them, I'll buy the big box, but they haven't had them in the store in like a year. And then you want gaming card sleeves. These are what people put their Magic or Pokemon cards into so they can shuffle those card decks up and play them. You want these. You don't want penny sleeves. You don't want top loaders. You want these. Just buy the cheapest ones. Try to get bulk discounts, closeouts. And if you do gaming cards, you're just going to get these things in the collections you purchase. And the last one is for big orders, you want cut up binder pages. Once again, if you're going to buy big collections, these things are just going to come to you. You will have endless binder pages and you'll pay nothing for them. All right, here's what I do. Get my envelope here. Take my card that I'm going to ship. We're going to do a real shipment here. This is a Locust Miser Magic the Gathering card. I'm going to put a couple of sports cards on one side, a couple on the other, one on the other. How many cards you're actually going to use as filler depends on how thick the cards are. These hockey cards that I'm using here are rather thin. More standard Topps baseball cards, those are thick enough where you only need one on either side. Just in general, you want to be able to fill that sleeve up. And you just slide them in there all the way. Oh, and you're going to use the other piece of equipment I forgot to mention, double-sided tape. Usually the cheapest way to get double-sided tape is you actually buy the 6-packs on Amazon that comes with the tape dispenser with it. That is the cheapest way to get that I can find. I cannot find a cheaper price on buying the refills on their own. And you put double-sided tape on that sleeve. You don't need to worry about the cards slipping out of the sleeve. If you've put enough cards in the sleeves, they're not going to slip out. Then you're going to slide that in the envelope, off center, always off center. Tape that down. Close your envelope. I normally like to use self-sealing envelopes, but I am out right now. Need to get to the Dollar Tree. I'm on my backup envelopes. I should have printed my label in advance, but printing my label right now. While that's printing, here's why you do off-center. You're going to do off-center, and you're going to switch left to right, left to right. The reason you do that is when that postal employee picks up that stack of envelopes from the mailbox, you're never going to never hand these to a post office employee. I won't even put them in my own outgoing mailbox. I always dump them into a big mailbox so they just get mixed up with all the other mail. But when they pick that stack of cards, that envelope stack up, it's going to be even because you alternated from one side to another. I actually put the label on the back side of the envelope because it helps seal it up a little bit. You want to make sure that you don't need to go all the way over, but you want to make sure you're within about a ½ inch or so. The postal standards say a ½ inch, but you can go off a little bit by that. And that is going to make it safely there 499 times out of 500. Sometimes I'll go send 1,000 a month and I'll go 3 months without having a problem, and other times I'll have 5 problems in 1 month. But this is what I do with cards, and this works. This saves you so much money over top loaders, and it's better than Stampin' Envelope. Stampin' Envelope used to work fine until this came out, because when this came out, the people who like to claim not to receive their cards, they started figuring out who used Stampin' Envelope and who didn't. And now those people are all glomming on to the people who use Stampin' Envelope. And those people are getting much higher fraudulent claims than they did before. Much higher. And depending on what kind of cards you sell, your amount of fraudulent claims are going to be different. The amount of fraudulent claims with like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards are huge. With Magic, it's moderate. With sports cards, it's extremely low. I've never personally had a fraudulent claim on a sports card. And even when I worked in the card shop, it was very, very few. Okay, I think that's all for this video. Please like, subscribe, check out the other videos. I think there's 26 of them now. And I hope to see you again soon.